Hello again everyone, Edwin Learnard back once again in this YouTube astrological segment. I'm going to be giving you my Capricorn February 2022 horoscope forecast, and yes, this does apply and pertain to the Sun, Moon, and Ascendant. Anyway, well, first off is as far as February goes, the Sun will be in Aquarius from the 1st until the 18th, so the second house is what will be emphasized and highlighted at this time. There could be a strong focus and attention for Capricorn on values and money and possessions. Possessions may be computer related or associated with astrology or electronics. And it can also be, sometimes it could shine the light, I would think, on a possession that maybe you had not seen in some time. Again, it could be something connected with computers or astrology or electronics or astronomy in some cases. And also, too, the Sun is connected with the biological father and children. So these people may be figuring more prominently in your values, your self-worth, your self-esteem, and how you feel about yourself at this time, and even your monetary situation. And the fact you're talking about Aquarius energy, that situation may be more erratic and sporadic at this time. But again, it's a lot of, and it's also a time not to become overly possessive of people and objects at this time. Be wary of that. It's also just a time again where it's a very strong focus on monetary matters, on possessions, on your resources, and even latent talents and abilities. And being an Aquarius, it could even be maybe something with computers or electronics or robotics, ability to innovate, in some cases, aviation. Anyway. Well, the next thing up is as far as February goes, the Sun will be in Pisces from the 18th until the 28th. So the third house is what will be emphasized and highlighted. So at this time, there may be a strong focus and attention on Pisces-related communications. It could be communications connected with the metaphysical, which includes astrology or poetry or dancing. At this time, it could also be a lot of focus and attention. Maybe it's even on convoluted short journeys, but it can also be a time to keep in mind again the Sun can be connected with biological father and children, and these people may play more of an integral role in your day-to-day communications and just general assimilating information. It might also be focusing on maybe a confounding or confusing issue with a vehicle, or even could be a chemical situation, maybe a chemical problem with the car or vehicle at this point in time. And it might even shine the light, so to speak, on an ability maybe to on some kind of writing ability or communication ability that's Pisces related. Again, it could be something with the metaphysical, which includes astrology or poetry or writing about fantasy or fiction at this point in time. And anyway, those are some of the ways that can manifest and pan out for Capricorn. Now, there's going to be a new moon in Aquarius on February 1st, so the second house is what will be emphasized and highlighted. So at this time, well, in some cases, this may manifest in the start of Aquarius, a money-making endeavor. It could be something connected with computers or electronics, or maybe astrology, meteorology, aviation, innovation as some examples. Maybe it's the start of incorporating more selflessness into your values, humanitarianism as well, altruism, being considerate, even being just generally maybe being innovative, doing things maybe that are unorthodox, and also just general friendliness, being humane. These things you might start to incorporate into your values at this time. And just as well, it could also be at this time for your Capricorn, it could be the beginning of just doing something. Maybe it's maybe you buy, maybe make a purchase that's Aquarius related, um, or could be a buying and selling venture that begins. That is connected with Aquarius. It could be electronic or computer items, or something associated with astrology or astronomy products in some isolated cases, or the start of maybe, could be, exploring or utilizing Aquarius like latent talents and abilities, such as it could be, ability in astronomy or astrology or computers, electronics, or maybe being able to do things, as an electrician. Um, Again, anything that could be Aquarius related. It might also, well, the next thing I want to get at, there's going to be a full moon in Leo on February 16th. So, the 8th house is what will be emphasized and highlighted. Now, at this time for Leo, well, it can be a time where maybe, you become tired, exasperated, full, so to speak, of an overly bombastic, arrogant, or domineering sexual partner. Maybe it's the ending of being overly generous or extravagant in a shared resources scenario. Um, Sometimes it could be the discovery or unveiling. It could be of an extravagant inheritance in some isolated cases. But also, too, 8th house is the house of surgery, keep in mind. So it could also manifest in some cases. It could be something that comes up where you have a discovery or unveiling of having to have a heart surgery or surgery connected with the upper back or spine at this time. And it may also be a time too where it could be the, this is about, full moons in astrology can be about culminations and endings. So it can be the ending, maybe that something that ends very dramatically. It could be with someone you're in an intimate relationship with, or it could be, a business partnership. The 8th house is the house of shared resources. It could be something Leo related, such as, some position in partnership that's associated with children, or maybe cardiology or creativity or entertainment or the movies. And it might be a time too where you were giving maybe a lot of generous, moral, emotional, and monetary support. And it could be a time where it may come to an end, or maybe it was being, you were receiving it. Maybe something happens where this ends at this time. Now, next thing up, well, Mercury is going to be in Capricorn as far as February goes, from the 1st until the 14th. So the first house is what will be emphasized and highlighted. Now, at this time, Capricorn, you might find yourself talking about yourself more. You may come across as more voluble, more loquacious on a first impression. It might be talking about, Capricorn. You might have a lot of conversations talking about a lot of things associated with sign Capricorn. It could be matters with accounting or dentistry or business, the career, your ambitions, information technology. Or if you're talking a lot about yourself, you may be talking a lot about your own qualities, such as being disciplined, structured, responsible, methodical, organized, having good business acumen, as some examples. And it can be a time to remember that Mercury is connected with siblings, cousins, and neighbors, and they may be Capricorn Sun, Moon, or Ascendant people, or simply ones that embody Capricorn characteristics. These people may figure more prominently in new beginnings at this time for you. It even matters with your vitality. Maybe they might take a toll on it at this time. Or you might be expending more energy in matters with them more so than usual. And it also might be a lot of introspective thinking about yourself at this time, Capricorn, or even contemplating Capricorn new beginnings, such as something with accounting or dentistry or information technology, masonry, or government, political work, or even general mundane work at this time. Now, Mercury will be in Aquarius as far as February goes, from the 14th of February until the 28th. So the second house is what will be emphasized and highlighted. Hold on a moment, people. Sorry about that, I'm back. But anyway, well, this time Capricorn, you got to be, your mind may be motivated, dominated by making money. It could be doing something Aquarius related, such as something with astronomy or computers or aerospace or innovation, as some examples. It might also be, you might find yourself thinking and talking more about your future monetarily and your possessions, your resources at this point in time. And it could be too that this time as well, I mean, the second house is also connected with our self-worth, so it might be a time where you might be thinking about your future with that. What are there, I mean, Mercury is associated with siblings, cousins, and neighbors. These people might be having more of an impact, on your self-worth, your self-esteem, how you feel about yourself. They may be Aquarius, Sun, Moon, or Ascendant people, or simply embody Aquarius characteristics. You might be thinking about some unique or unorthodox ways in generating income at this time, and it might be you're thinking about a situation where maybe your situation with your possessions may be erratic and sporadic. So those are some ways that this may pan out. You might also find yourself being able to make money, through writing, and it might be something Aquarius related, like writing about science fiction or astrology or astronomy, about computers, electronics, about the future, as some examples. Now anyway, well, the next thing up, Venus will be in Capricorn for the entirety of 2022, so the first house will be emphasized and highlighted. Now Capricorn might be a time where there might be a very strong focus on making money. People may be able to see that on a first impression, and it may be a time where money is just something. You're talking about the first house being emphasized. It might be something that might dominate you at this time, or you may be interested in new beginnings that are associated with making money, and it could be something Capricorn related, something associated with accounting or dentistry or information technology. It could be something with politics or government work or masonry, as some examples. But it's also a time where you may value your appearance at this time, and maybe even being photogenic. So we're talking about Capricorn energy and having a very, just a general mature type of look, professional look at this time. And it's also about a time too where self-esteem may appear to be very important to you on when people see you on a first impression, and how you feel about yourself at this time. And you might find yourself spending more money on yourself, maybe somewhat, maybe conservatively, since this is Capricorn energy, but it could be on items you need for business, or some kind of government related work or accounting, as some examples, or something associated with information technology, career related items. And if it's clothing, it might be very professional business type attire. But anyway, Capricorn, next up. Well, Mars will be in Capricorn for the entirety of February 2022. So again, the first house is what will be emphasized and highlighted. At this time, Capricorn, you might find yourself somewhat coming across a little bit more outspoken or brusque. At this time, you might, this time as well, you may very well have a surfeit and abundance of energy, and it may be going into Capricorn, new beginnings, such again, as I was stating before, examples like the dentistry or accounting or some business. Could be information technology, something connected with the government or politics. It can also be a time to Mars is also connected with injuries and surgery. In the first house is the physical body, so it can be a time where there may be a greater propensity for injury connected with the knees, the bones, the joints, the hamstrings, the gallbladder. It might be a time too where again you can have an abundance of energy at this time. Capricorn, and it can be a time too where you might, this is about putting a lot of energy and vitality into doing things that are new, but it could also be a time where you may have, could also be some battles that you might be dealing with. It could be with someone that was prominent in your early childhood, or it could be a grandparent in some cases. It can be arguments maybe over responsibilities, or just could be discipline. It might be just over just general coldness or callousness as some examples. And in any way, well, the next thing up, well, Jupiter's going to be in Pisces for the entire month of February 2022. So at this time, the third house is what will be emphasized and highlighted for Capricorn. This could be a time that could be very fortuitous, for short journeys, for communications, or maybe prosperity. In Pisces related writings, it can be something connected with writings about poetry or fantasy or fiction or dancing or the metaphysical, which includes astrology. Jupiter is also about the truth and veracity, and it might be a time for you, Capricorn, where maybe the truth comes out. It could be regarding an overly deceptive or duplicitous sibling, cousin, or neighbor. It could also enlarge convoluted, chaotic short journeys in some cases. It may also be about a time where you might be able to express, it's about expressing humor with third house people, again, such as siblings, neighbors, cousins, people that were prominent in your early education. Maybe there's, the Pisces, humor maybe can be a little ambiguous or cryptic. It can also be a time, in some cases, sadly, this might enlarge, dissolving or dissipation of one's communications, and it can also be a time too for you, at this time, Capricorn. Well, that the fact Jupiter is about exuberance and enthusiasm, there might be more of this expressed in short journeys, in your communications in general. It could be in matters, with siblings, with cousins, with neighbors, and this is where it can be very, Jupiter transits are generally good, but remember that Jupiter is very paradoxical. It's very benign, benevolent, but it could also have a tendency to enlarge and expand. So it can enlarge and expand things as well, and sometimes things are not always good. So it's just something to keep in mind. Now, next thing up, well, Saturn will be in Aquarius for the entire month of February 2022. So the second house is what will be emphasized and highlighted. Now, in some cases, Capricorn, this might be a time where you might be dealing with some restrictions and limitations in your self-esteem, your self-worth, how you feel about yourself, monetary situation, your possessions, your resources. Keep in mind, as far as how the Saturn and Aquarius transit is, it's affecting society. I believe it's what it is. It's restricting, people getting out in society in general. And because the COVID-19 variant is somewhat prevalent, so what this is impacting, you at this time, Capricorn, it might be your ability to make money and generate income. Maybe it's about getting out and getting, possessions. It could be associated with buying and selling, and it might be, at this time as well, maybe even your self-worth, your self-esteem, how you feel about yourself. Saturn Aquarius, though generational, I think could also indicate more limitations and restrictions with friendships and groups and clubs and organizations. So that could have more an impact on self-worth, perhaps for Capricorn more so than others. And it could also be a time too where you might find yourself having more responsibility, doing something Aquarius related and generating income, whether it could be something with computers or electronics or robotics or bionics, aviation, some examples. Hold on a moment, people. Sorry about that, I'm back. But anyway, this is just a time to, for you, Capricorn as well, that, the second house is also connected with latent talents and abilities, and you might just simply be where you're working laboriously on those abilities, doing, something Aquarius related, whether it could be innovating, you could be doing something with computers or electronics, and also, might be a time as well. Saturn is also connected with the father, so this, his father may be playing more of a role in your, your resources, your possessions, your money you're generating, and also your self-worth and self-esteem, how you feel about yourself. And the father may be an Aquarius, Sun, Moon, or Ascendant person, or one that simply embodies those traits. Now the next thing up, well, Uranus will be in Taurus for the entirety of February 2022. So the fifth house is what will be emphasized and highlighted for Capricorn. So at this time, Capricorn, this can be a time where you might be, your love life may be erratic and sporadic, or issues with children may be the same way. Maybe if you have a child, if applicable, that child may be experiencing, maybe expressing some genius qualities. This might be a time where you might be, the fifth house is about investments, and Uranus and Taurus, I think a lot of that is, how cryptocurrency has become, more popular. And I mean, Uranus and Taurus, and Uranus is connected with online, it's the internet, and Taurus, and it's also, what's unique, something that's unique and different. And you have, Taurus is about money. So it can be where, maybe this is a time, if you haven't done so already, you might be investing in cryptocurrency, online investing of some kind. It might also be a time for you, Capricorn, where your friendships, Uranus is connected with friendships. The fact Uranus is in Taurus, it could be ones that are persistent, stable, solid, steady, steadfast, reliable. Those people might be figuring more prominently in your fun, your amusement, and your enjoyment at this time, more so than usual. Or you might even be finding, doing some interested in some kind of Uranus sport or game or hobby, maybe something like underwater hockey as an example. There's just something, Uranus of course is very unique energy, to say the least. And anyway, well, next up, Neptune will be in Pisces for the entirety of February 2022. So the third house is what will be emphasized and highlighted. Now at this time, well, one thing, you may be more involved in, could be convoluted short journeys. Now in some isolated cases, this could be the dissolving or dissipation of rational thinking. It's important to be careful at this time, Capricorn, if you're an older person especially, or maybe, the memory, might be starting, you might be feeling something where it's dissolving a little bit, it's gradually dissipating. It could be, it's a greater chance at this time than in many other transits, so just something to be careful, be warning about. And it could also be a time too where you might be more involved in Neptune/Pisces related writings, with poetry or fantasy or fiction. At this time. And I would say too, Neptune and Pisces can manifest by itself in fallacious mediums and psychics. So these people may be more prominent, like in your short journeys, or if you see them like at a store, or they're outside, they got their little stand somewhere. They might, just be careful that, the people, if you're dealing with any, psychics, then that they're legitimate, they're reputable at this time. And it might be a time where you might be dealing with, could be increased deception, duplicity with siblings, with cousins and neighbors at this time. You might be dealing with very, these people may be nebulous and unclear, and you might be dealing with issues with a vehicle that may be that way as well. At this time, then maybe there's problems with the car or some vehicle you have that you're having a lot of trouble trying to understand or figure out, or there could be a chemical issue um, with your vehicle at this point in time. So and also too, the third house is also connected with people. I mean, it's the early education. So this is a time where Neptune is about inspiration, compassion. You might be inspired to do more things with these people at this time, and also expressing compassionate altruism toward them, and also people, also siblings, cousins, and neighbors as well. Now, last but not least, Pluto will still be in Capricorn. It will be in Capricorn, of course, for the entirety of February 2022. So the first house will be emphasized and highlighted at this time for you, Capricorn. Well, in some cases, keep in mind, okay, that remember that Pluto is connected with trauma and surgery, and so it could be a time for you where there may be some kind of, could be some trauma or surgery. It could be connected with the gallbladder, the knees, the bones, the joints, the hamstrings. At this time, you might be a time too where it could be about the transformation of the physical body, especially if this is actually hitting the first house. Literally, someone's ascending. Somebody has Capricorn rising, and it's really traversing one's first house. It can be a time where it could be a transformation of the physical body, such as working out vigorously. It might be done in a very consistent, regimented Capricorn form. It can also be, or manner I should say, now it could also be manifesting Plutonian new beginnings, and it could be doing something with the occult, which includes astrology, or something with insurance or taxes or recycling, organic forensics or investigation. You might also be more of a first impression, come across as more obsessive or fixated at this time as well, and it might even be more imposing as well at this time, Capricorn, more so than usual. Could also manifest in some cases in power struggles. It could be with a grandparent or somebody that was prominent even in your early childhood in some cases. Now, could also be, keep in mind, Pluto is connected with the colon, the prostate, the bladder, and the reproductive system. So it can also be issues with this point at this point in time. So anyway, people, that will conclude this YouTube astrological segment. Until next time, Edwin Learnard, stay well.